Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's thoughts on Sense8 Season 2. This is the final one, the finale, You Want to War, Episode 11. As always, these are just thoughts off the top of my head, but I don't have to worry about giving you a spoiler warning for up to the finale, but I don't have to worry about saying, oh, don't spoil the next episode, because this is the final episode, so I don't have to worry about it. So what did I think of this finale? Did I think it was a great finale and saved the season? I don't know. I would have to say yes and no. It was very exciting. There were storylines that were very exciting, and it had a lot of potential for the next season, if there's going to be a next season. And it was an exciting episode, but I had a lot of issues with it. There were a lot of things that bothered me about this episode as well. So alright, I'll start with the main thing that bothered me. The main thing that bothered me is that it felt rushed, particularly the second half. Because it seemed like this episode, like in the previous episode, I said, oh, is the finale going to be all about Sun trying to kill her brother? I thought this, it should be more focused on like the main storyline with the other Sense8s and with the Mr. Whispers and all that stuff. But the episode starts out like the first half is all about Sun trying to kill her brother, so I thought that was it. But then all of a sudden, it switched focus to Wolfgang getting captured by Whispers and then the team getting together to try to rescue him. That was too rushed. Like the Sun's brother stuff, like that played out fine. The pacing of that was fine. I had other issues with it, which I'll get to shortly. But the pacing of that was fine. The problem with the second half, though, that was extremely rushed. It was just like, oh, all of a sudden Wolfgang's captured, and all of a sudden we're going to all get together and try to rescue her, and all of a sudden, I have to watch it again, to be honest, to find out what even happened at the end. I know that they captured Mr. Whispers and they captured Jonas, who I guess is their enemy now, and but I don't even know if they actually rescued Wolfgang or not. I can't. It just happened so fast and it was so blurry. I think maybe they didn't rescue Wolfgang. That's the next step in the plan that we'll see in the season 3, if that ever happens. Or maybe they did and I just missed it. It's just, it all happened too fast, and not just that one scene, but the whole them coming together, because this is something the whole show has been building towards since the start, because this is like a big cathartic moment. And I talked in the last week's episode, or not last week, but the last episode, about how it would be great to see some of these characters meet each other, because Riley and Will were the only characters who actually met in person, and then they all meet in person, but it happens so fast you don't really savor it. It's just all of a sudden, we're all here in the same place, and it's that was a great moment that needed to, because this show has always had like a slow pacing, which I appreciated, because there's all these different storylines. It needs to be slow. It needs to savor, the details of these different characters. And for the most important moment of the whole entire show, they just blow through it very quickly. Now, if there is going to be a season 3, it's likely that they will take their time to, say what it's like once they all met together and sort of savor it a bit more. But that doesn't make up for the fact that it was rushed in this episode. I think if they were going to do the storyline of Wolfgang getting captured by Mr. Whispers and then everyone getting together to do it, they need to devote the whole episode to that. In fact, I dare say several episodes. You might say, oh, well, they could do several episodes in the next season. No, I mean like several episodes that end where this episode ended. Like, they needed to spend more time on the build-up, more time of them meeting together. I know they tried to do like a sort of heist movie type deal where, I talked about this in, what was it? One of the other shows, Better Call Saul, I review, where recently they had a trial thing where Saul, or Jimmy and Kim, had this plan to, Chuck or whatever, and you didn't see what their plan was. You didn't see them planning, and then all of a sudden you just see it executed, and that was great. The way they did it, because if you saw them planning, then that would ruin the fun of their plan going off without a hitch. Now with Sense8, they did the same thing. You don't see them planning to take down Mr. Whispers, so because that would kind of ruin it, so you can see the plan executed. I actually think that was a mistake here. In Better Call Saul it worked, but here that was a mistake because it part of their plan was of them all meeting up and coming together, and glossing over that was that gigantic. You can't do that. That's what the whole show is about. And this, again, as I said, the rescue itself just happened so fast. I couldn't even keep track of what was happening, who they were rescuing, and who it was in the van. How did they get that police car? This was handled very, very poorly. I mean, on the one hand, it was exciting. It was great finally seeing, the Sense8s get the better of Mr. Whispers after being, him being this big bad guy. And I'll tell you about another element that kind of bothers me about this whole season is the other Sense8s, how they don't like our group of Sense8s. Like, they think, oh, don't trust them, they're blah, blah, and they think that don't try to fight them, don't try to fight with Mr. Whispers. They just want to hide in the shadows and be like, oh, you can't fight them, what are you doing trying to fight them? That's dumb. And that annoys me. It does, to be honest, because it seems like, why are our main characters the only people smart enough to be like, hey, we can actually take and especially these other Sense8 have this whole underground. They have way more resources than our heroes, but still Will's able to get inside his head, able to trick him, they're able to do all this shit. I don't know. I guess that's a minor note thing, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to shit on this storyline too much because I did think it was interesting. I like the idea. Like, the idea of the storyline was great, having Wolfgang get captured by the Mr. Whispers, and he now knows who Cullen is because he tortured him for information, and it really raised the stakes, and how they all teamed up together to rescue him. But the execution of it is what was lacking. It wasn't executed very well. It was too fast, too quick, and inconsistent with the rest of the show, which always takes its time on storylines like this. Now, let me get back to the Sun stuff, because that one was, as I said, the pacing was good on that. Like, that one was executed well. But, it shouldn't have been in the same episode with this one. They should have had separate episodes for them. But anyway, it was executed well. The problem I had with the whole thing was it made, okay, so Sun tracked down her brother and, did the whole car chase, which was awesome, and they got Cappius to drive, and they had Wolfgang to throw the little thing that he used as a spear to crash the car. That was great. After that, her brother was crying and blood all over his face, and she's like, oh, I'm going to kill him. And they did the whole trope of, no, don't kill him, you're the hero of the show. And I get a bit sick of that. But to be fair, when she had the choice to kill him, the cops were pointing their guns at her. So killing him then, not such a good idea. Because they probably would have killed her, or at the very least arrested her for murder, which she couldn't get out of. So that was actually a smart move. But maybe she could have killed them before they showed up, but I don't know if that would have made any difference because they'd still know it was her. But the main problem I had was when the cops came, they arrested her and let him go. This dude just came up in the car and okay, you can go. What the fuck? That is what? Alright, first off, the cops showed up in the first place to arrest him. He shot a police officer in front of everyone, in front of public view, in front of tons of people, and they're just gonna let him go? What in the fuck? They should be going after him more than they are after Sun. I know she's an escaped convict, but she didn't shoot a fucking cop in front of everyone. What the hell? That is the dumbest thing. I was like, what? And, alright. So, and it's not just that, it's like he's, the fraud, and all the other stuff. And even if he didn't shoot a cop, he's like involved in this high speed chase through the city and ran out the sidewalk and almost like ran over pedestrians. And Sun wasn't the one doing that; she was just following him, and they just let him go. Now, the excuse for that could be, well, it was this mega rich politician or powerful man. I think they're playing at that this other guy who picked him up is actually the one that killed her father, and her brother's just a pawn in it. And if they're doing that, yeah, fine, whatever. But still, I don't give a fuck how powerful this guy is. There's no way the police would simply, not even question him, not even hold him and say, hey, you have to come to us, answer some questions. It's simply just let him get in the car and go away. It's the dumbest shit that I ever seen on this show. This is a low point on the show. It's like, oh, the plot, we need this brother to be really invincible or, get away scot-free. And it makes no sense. It makes none. It's dumb. Is this the first time I get really frustrated with the show? Now, other than that, though, getting back to the earlier stuff with Sun, the whole, her infiltrating and the thing, and that was a great scene. That was an awesome scene. Her going up to try to get her brother, and the Sense8's helping her out. I love how Kala sort of stepped up and blew up the car and set the gasoline on fire. It was a great scene, and it was really intense. It was one of the better scenes in the show up until that stupid letting the brother go. And plus, that would have been the perfect way to end the storyline. Get it over. Have her, have the brother arrested or killed or something. And, honestly, I thought that they were going to arrest him. Okay, well, he's getting arrested. He shot a fucking police officer, and plus, they know that he's a fraud and he's defrauding everyone. He is getting arrested. And then he just got in the car. Oh, fuck, God damn it. I guess I need to let that one go. But yeah, so, those are the two main things that happened in this episode. I suppose we got some other, sort of stuff with, I suppose I'd talk a bit about Wolfgang's not girlfriend, but the other Sense8 one. I never really liked this character, to be perfectly honest. She kind of reminds me too much of a typical Bond woman, trying to be all sexy, and this comes off a bit cliche in my opinion. And it was interesting though the way that she was the one that brought. Okay, so here's another little nitpick I have. Okay, so she told Mr. Whispers where to find Wolfgang, and Mr. Whispers she said that Mr. Whispers, I can't remember what they called him. I think they called him the cannibal or whatever, I guess because he lobotomizes other Sense8s. But anyway, she said that he was really, really wanting to find him. Why? Why was he wanting to find him? We're led to believe that's because he knows that Wolfgang is in Will's cluster. How does he know this? I think it's been well established that he doesn't know who's in Will's cluster. That's even further established when he's torturing Wolfgang to try to find out the other people that are in his cluster. In fact, he even mentions, you're going to bring up Mr. whatever his last name is, talking about Will. So he knows that Will's in his cluster, which is why he wants Wolfgang so badly. So how does he know this? He doesn't know who's in Will's cluster. How the fuck does he know that Wolfgang is one of them? And you could say, that chick told him, but she doesn't fucking know who else is in his cluster. She doesn't know Will's in his cluster. So how does he know this? But yeah. Anyway, that was another thing. I did think it was kind of interesting the way that she portrayed him. But it sounds like, from what I'm saying so far, that I hated this episode, but I didn't. Actually, I liked it, but there was those issues, as you can tell, that really bothered me, and it just had flaws. So basically, I think this episode had potential. This could have been like a great episode, but they kind of I felt rushed. I think this episode in particular, maybe because it's the final episode and they did it chronologically and they worked more on the other episodes, is that by the time they got to this episode, they're running out of time and they didn't have the time to like edit it properly or sort of think things through. Or maybe in the editing process, they spent too much time on the other things and they didn't have enough material for this one. That's why I felt really rushed. But the whole thing about Son's brother getting away, well, that's just bad writing. That has nothing to do with editing or anything. That was inherent in the script. It was written badly for plot convenience, and so maybe the script was rushed too. I don't know. So the whole thing felt really rushed. I mean, I didn't hate this episode. It was exciting. If it wasn't for these flaws, particularly with the Sun storyline, because if it wasn't for that one flaw, I would love it. I think it would be one of the best. It was one of the best scenes in the show up until that ending, which kind of ruined it. And the whole Wolfgang thing, like, that needed to be done longer. And especially the Sense8s coming together and meeting for the first time. Well, anyway, let me talk, since this is the final video I'll be doing for Sense8 Season 2, let me talk a bit about how, will there be a Season 3? Because I've read some articles on the show, and the thing, I've heard, like, it was like practically 2 years since Season 1 aired, and, they originally intended to have Season 2 released, like, back in December of 2016, which is why they just did the Christmas special instead. And it was very obvious that was rushed to meet this deadline. And they say the main reason, I read an article, is that the editing process takes forever. It takes a lot longer than in most TV shows because they're filming in ridiculous. Because if you look at the credits and see all the locations, they actually go to all these locations to film. I mean, you think of something like Game of Thrones where they film in like 4 or 5 different countries. This show films in like 8 or 10 different countries. It's crazy. So you could just imagine how, and especially like all the different storylines and the way they cut together, you could just imagine how absolutely, like, how much work goes into editing the show. And like, that was the same thing about Cloud Atlas. And Cloud Atlas, again, I think is one of the best editing, like, examples I've ever seen of any movie. It's like, it fits perfectly. That's why, one of the reasons why I love it, because it was edited so well. Here, I don't think they do as good of a job, and I do think that's partly because of the behind-the-scenes troubles and them feeling a bit rushed. So, especially, like, some episodes work better than others. This one in particular did not work so well. So that's the issue. What sets this show apart from other shows is that the editing takes like a year to do. And so most of the all the actors' contracts, I believe, have expired because it took too long in post-production. And I think that might have happened, something similar happened after Season 1, which is why we have a new Cappius, because that actor's contract expired and he wanted to do something else. But I did hear that Netflix is looking into, like, they already started looking into trying to reacquire the contracts for the actors, which is setting the groundwork for Season 3, although Season 3 hasn't been confirmed because maybe they can't get all the actors, and even if they can, maybe they don't want to put in all the money to make this other huge production thing, and especially if Season 2 is not received well. If it's received poorly, then they might, but Netflix would just basically, having backup, covering in case we want to do a Season 3, let's get to, acquire these actors again. And we don't even know if they get all the actors. Now, it does seem like most of them, I believe, have already signed or at least expressed interest in coming back. I think the one actor who's a bit questionable was the guy who plays Jonas, Saeed from Lost, because apparently he's on another show. But he was never a main character. He's not that important. So if they can't get him back, I mean, they can always just recast him or not even have him. He's not, well, I suppose they have to have him at the end of season 2, but he's not that important. And if they recast Cappius, then they can recast other characters too. But if they start recasting everyone, then it's gonna get a bit ridiculous. But I don't think casting is the main issue. I think the main issue is how expensive it is to film, and if the ratings it receives. I don't know if they do ratings on Netflix, but if the response it receives justifies the money that they spend on it. So I don't know. I think I'm not ruling out of season 3. I think it's possible. The showrunners, the Babylon 5 dude and the Wachowskis, they have a 5-year plan for this show. So I would like to see that 5-year plan play out. Even though I didn't like season 2 as much as season 1, I think that doesn't mean that season 3 couldn't be a bit better. Especially, like, the main issue I had with season 2 is it got a bit crazy with the montages, because season 1 was the Sense8s learning about them being Sense8s and learning about the other people, so it's like an origin story, so it's actually easier to do, especially on a longer format, where season 2 had the weight of, now they're all together, they already all, like, know each other, and where do they progress from there, and it's a harder sell, and I think some ways they pulled it off, and in other ways they didn't. The Christmas special is a prime example of not pulling it off well. They just went montage after crazy montage, and it gets a bit repetitive, especially the way they use the Four Non-Blondes song again. Oh, that was so great in season 1. Let's just use it again. So let me give a rating for season 2 overall as a whole, because I haven't been giving ratings and these thoughts on because they're just thoughts at the top of my head. But I was thinking about this rating for the season. I think I'll actually give it a 7. I'll go as far as a 7. Very good, because I don't do decimal points, so it's either 6 or 7. I think, very begrudgingly, I think I'll just push it up to a 7. If I did do decimal points, it would be something like 6.5 or 6.6. But I no decimal points. I'll give it a 7. Very good. Season 1 I gave an 8 to, so an 8 for Sense8, quite appropriate. It was a strong 8, where this is like a weak 7. So it is definitely a step down from season 1, but I didn't totally hate it, because there were a lot of really good things in this season. Like, there's a lot of things that actually did work. Like, I know the finale, like, it could have worked, but they kind of fumbled it, but other episodes like totally worked. Like, you get the back. Some of these character stories got very interesting. The interactions between them, the deepening, the lore behind the whole Sense8 thing was very interesting. So I did enjoy watching the season. I didn't think it was by any means a bad season. It could have been better though. Is all I'm saying. But it's not. It's not like the worst thing ever. It's not a total disappointment. Oh, season 2 sucked. Not at all. There's a lot, especially it had a really strong start to it as well. Well, episode 2, technically, if you're counting Christmas special, not a strong start. But after that, there was episode 2, 3. It was a pretty strong start, and they were really strong character moments, really great emotional moments throughout the season. So, I'll give it a 7. Right. Okay, so this was a bit longer than most of my other ones, but it's finale, so I thought it deserved to be longer, and I'm talking about the whole season. So that is it for my thoughts on Sense8. I might be doing a discussion video with Josh from Geeksiders in a few weeks, maybe a month from now, because he hasn't finished watching it. So I have to wait for him to finish watching it. And my brother is going to do a review on that, so it'll be interesting to see what he says about it. That's me on Sense8. So make sure to check out my channel for the other shows I'm reviewing. I'm doing Leftovers, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones videos and Star Trek videos when I can. So be sure to subscribe. Keep up with all that. Thanks a lot for watching.